Hello friends, today we are studying the chapter 14, Respiration in Plants. This is like one of the most difficult chapters I find. Now, let us start studying. All of us breathe to live, but why is breathing so essential to life? We will mark all the important points if we find any and will make notes by the time we are studying. What happens What happens when we breathe? Also, why do all living organisms, including plants and microbes, breathe? If so, how? All living organisms need energy for carrying out daily life activities, be it absorption, transport, movement, reproduction, or even breathing. Where does all this energy come from? We know we eat food for energy, but how is this energy taken from? How is this energy utilized? All foods give the same amount of energy. Do plants eat? Where do plants get their energy from? And microorganisms for their energy requirements, do they eat food? You may wonder at the several questions raised above. They may seem to be very disconnected. But in reality, the process of breathing is very much connected to the process of release of energy from food. Let us try and understand how this happens. All the energy required for life processes is obtained by oxidation of some macromolecules that we call food. Only green plants and cyanobacteria can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Only green plants and cyanobacteria can produce their own food, be it by the process of photosynthesis. They trap light energy and convert it to chemical energy that is stored in the bonds of carbohydrates like glucose, sucrose, and starch. We must remember that in green plants too, not all cells, tissues, and organs photosynthesize. Only cells containing chloroplasts that are most often located in the superficial layer carry out photosynthesis. Hence, even in green plants, all other organs, tissues, and cells that are non green need food for oxidation. Hence, food has to be translocated to all non green plants parts. Animals are heterotrophic, that is, they obtain food from plants directly, herbivores, or indirectly, carnivores. Saprophytes like fungi are dependent on dead and decaying matter. What is important to recognize is that ultimately all the food that is required for life processes comes from photosynthesis. This chapter deals with cellular respiration, or the mechanism of breakdown of food materials within the cell to release energy and the trapping of this energy for synthesis of ATP. Photosynthesis, of course, takes place within the chloroplast in the eukaryotes, whereas the breakdown of complex molecules to yield energy takes place in the cytoplasm and in the mitochondria. Okay, so this is saying that photosynthesis, we know that it takes place inside the chloroplast, but breakdown of complex molecules to yield energy takes place in cytoplasm. Okay, this is very simple yet important. Okay, breakdown of complex molecules to yield energy takes place in the cytoplasm and in a mitochondria. It can be asked, so let's just remember that. The breaking of single bond of complex compounds through oxidation within the cells, leading to release of considerable amount of energy, is called respiration. Breaking of C, C bond of complex compounds through oxidation within the cells, leading to release of considerable amount of energy, is called respiration. Breakdown of carbon-carbon bonds of carbohydrate or complex compounds through oxidation within cells. Okay, there are certain words which are very important, like break down, C double bond C bonds, complex compounds, oxidation within cells, considerable amount of energy is called respiration. Okay, that's how I remember stuff. The compounds that are oxidized during this process are known as respiratory substrates, compounds that are oxidized during this process. Usually carbohydrates are oxidized to release energy. Okay, carbohydrates are oxidized to release energy, but proteins, fats, and even organic acids can be used as respiratory substances in some plants under certain conditions. During oxidation within a cell, all the energy contained in a respiratory substrates is not released free into the cell. During oxidation within the cell, all the energy contained in respiratory substrates is not released into the cell or in a single step. It is released in a series of slow stepwise reaction controlled by enzymes. Okay. Series of slow stepwise reaction controlled by enzymes and is trapped as chemical energy in the form of ATP. Hence, it is important, where is it? It is important to understand that the energy released by oxidation and respiration is not, or rather cannot be used directly, but is used to synthesize ATP, which is broken down whenever and wherever energy needs to be utilized. Hence, ATP acts as the energy currency of the cell. The energy trapped in the ATP is utilized in various energy requiring processes of the organisms, and the carbon skeleton produced during the respiration is used as precursors for biosynthesis of other molecules in the cell. Few more things important. Now let's go to the next topic. Do plants breathe? Well, the answer to this question is not quite so direct. Yes, plants require O2 for respiration to occur, and they also give out carbon dioxide. Hence, plant systems have in place that ensure the availability of O2. Plants, unlike animals, have no specialized organs for gaseous exchange, but they have stomata and lenticels for this purpose. There are several reasons why plant can get along without respiratory organs. First, each plant part takes care of its own gas exchange needs. This is very little transport of gases from one plant part to another. दिस इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट टू नोट कि हर एक प्लांट का जो पार्ट होता है वो अपने खुद के गैसेस एक्सचेंज के लिए खुद रिस्पॉन्सिबल होता है, यानी वो अपना गैसेस एक्सचेंज खुद से कर सकते, ठीक है. Second, plants do not present great demands for exchange of gas. Roots, stems, and leaves respire at rates far lower than animals do. Only during photosynthesis a large volume of gases are exchanged, and each leaf is well adapted to take care of its own need during these periods. Well, when cells photosynthesize, availability of O2 is not a problem in these cells, since O2 is released within the cell. During photosynthesis, O2 is released within the cell. Okay. First point, second point, and the third point is in the next page. Distance that gases must diffuse even in large bulky plants is not great. Each living cell in a plant is quite close to the surface of the plant. This is true for leaves, you may ask, but what about thick woody stems? and roots. In stems, the living cells are organized in thin layers inside and beneath the bark. They also have openings called lenticels. This is also like present in chapter number 7, anatomy. The cells in the interior are dead and provide only mechanical support. Thus, most of a plant have at least a part of their surface in contact with air. This is also facilitated by the loose packing of parenchyma cells in leaves, stems, and roots, which provide an interconnected network of air spaces. The complete combustion of glucose, which produces carbon dioxide and water as end products, yields energy, of most of which is given out as heat. C6H12O6 plus 6O2 gives 6CO2 plus 6H2O. Sorry for the disturbance, guys. If this energy is to be useful to the cells, it should be able to utilize it to synthesize other molecules that the cell requires. The strategy that the plant cell uses is to catabolize the glucose molecules in such a way. Okay. Let's just give it a bit more attention. अगर ये एनर्जी को हमें यूज़ करना है, यानी सेल को यूज़ करना है, इस एनर्जी से वो दूसरे मॉलिक्यूल से बनाता है. ओके. सेल जो है इस एनर्जी को कैसे यूज़ करता है? अगर आप एक सेल को अपने ये जो एनर्जी से मिली उसे यूज़ करना है, तो वो इससे कुछ दूसरे मॉलिक्यूल्स बना सकता है जो कि उसे चाहिए. और स्ट्रैटेजी ये होती है कि वो इस तरह से ग्लूकोज के मॉलिक्यूल्स को तोड़े जिससे कि सारा का सारा जो एनर्जी है वो हीट की तरह निकल ना जाए. द की इज़ टू ऑक्सीडाइज ग्लूकोज not in one step but in several small steps, enabling some step to be just large enough such that the energy released can be coupled to ATP synthesis. How this is done is essentially the story of respiration. Okay, cool. During the process of respiration, oxygen is utilized and carbon dioxide, water and energy are released as product. रेस्पिरेशन के टाइम पे ऑक्सीजन इस्तेमाल करते हैं और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, वाटर और एनर्जी ये एनर्जी की तरह रिलीज़ हो जाते हैं. प्रोडक्ट्स की तरह कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, वाटर और एनर्जी रिलीज़ होता है. जो कंबशन होता है रिएक्शन, यानी कि जो कंबशन रिएक्शन होता है उसमें ऑक्सीजन का रिक्वायरमेंट होता है. पर कुछ ऐसे भी सेल्स होते हैं जहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन की इतनी ज़रूरत नहीं होती. वो हो भी सकते हैं और बिना ऑक्सीजन के भी काम बन सकता है. और ये हमारे पास इसके कुछ सफिशेंट कारण भी है जिससे हम ये मान सकें कि जब सेल्स इस प्लैनेट में रहना शुरू हुए तो उस समय एटमॉस्फेयर में ऑक्सीजन नहीं था. ठीक है, अभी भी हम ऐसे बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनिजम्स को जानते हैं जो कि एनारोबिक कंडीशन से ज़्यादा अडेप्टेड है. Some of these organisms are facultative anaerobes, while in others, requirement of anaerobic condition is obligate. Okay, facultative anaerobes वैसे organism होते हैं जो बिना ऑक्सीजन के प्रेजेंस अगर नहीं होगा तब भी एनारोब्स बनेंगे, तो ज़रूरत के हिसाब से. और ऑब्लिगेट यानी मतलब कंपल्सरी, मेरे हिसाब से इसका यही मतलब होता है. In any case, all living organisms retain the enzymatic machinery to partially oxidize glucose without the help of oxygen. कोई कुछ भी हो जो और सभी जितने भी लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म होते हैं उनमें इतनी एंजाइमेटिक मशीनरी होती है जिससे कि वो पार्शियली ग्लूकोज को ऑक्सीडाइज कर सके विदाउट द हेल्प ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. इस ब्रेकडाउन ऑफ ग्लूकोज टू पायरुविक एसिड इज कॉल्ड ग्लाइकोलाइसिस. Now here comes the important part, which is the glycolysis. The term glycolysis has originated from the Greek word glykos and lysis for splitting. Glycos stands for sugar and lysis stands for splitting. The scheme of glycolysis was given by Gustav Empton. I don't know how this is spelled. Otto Meyerhoff and J. Parnas. Okay, let's just revise. Gustav Empton, J. Parnas, and Otto Meyerhoff. Yeah, that's right. And is often referred to as the EMP pathway. Like in anaerobic organism, it is the only process in respiration. Glycolysis occurs Glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell and is present in all living organisms. In this process, glucose undergoes partial oxidation to form two molecules of pyruvic acid. In plants, this glucose is derived from sucrose, which is the end product of photosynthesis. And glucose is derived from sucrose. Sucrose is converted into glucose and fructose by the enzyme invertase. And these two monosaccharides readily enter the glycolytic pathway. Glucose and fructose are phosphorylated to give fructose 6-phosphate. Phosphorylated to give glucose 6-phosphate by the activity of the enzyme hexokinase. Phosphorylated पहले सुक्रोज से ग्लूकोज और फ्रुक्टोज, फिर ग्लूकोज और फ्रुक्टोज को जब हम फॉस्फोराइलेटेड करें, फॉस्फोरस ऐड होगा इसमें, पता नहीं, to give rise to glucose 6-phosphate by the activity of enzyme hexokinase. This phosphorylated form of glucose is then isomerizes to form fructose 6-phosphate. Okay. Subsequent steps of metabolism: glucose and fructose are same. The various steps of glycolysis depicted in figure 14.1. The glycolysis is a chain of 10 reactions and the control of different enzymes takes place to produce pyruvate from glucose. While studying the steps of glycolysis, please note that the steps which utilize the synthesizes ATP and NADH plus H plus take place. Okay. ATP is utilized at two steps. First, in the conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate. Second, in the conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is split into dihydroxyacetone phosphate and 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde PGAL. We find that there is one step NADH plus H plus is formed from NAD plus, and this is when 3-phosphoglyceraldehyde PGAL is converted to 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate BPGA. Two redox equivalents are removed in the form of two hydrogen atoms from PGAL and transferred to a molecule of NAD plus. PGAL is oxidized and with inorganic phosphate gets converted into BPGA. The conversion of BPGA to 3-phosphoglyceric acid PGA is also an energy yielding process. This energy is trapped by the formation of ATP. 1,3 piece phosphoglycerate. Another ATP synthesized during the conversion of EP to pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid is the key product of glycolysis. What is the metabolic fate of pyruvate? This depends on cellular need. There are three major ways in which different cells can handle pyruvic acid produced by glycolysis. These are lactic acid fermentation, alcoholic fermentation, and aerobic fermentation. Fermentation takes place under anaerobic conditions in many prokaryotes and unicellular eukaryotes. For the complete oxidation of glucose to CO2 however, organisms adopt Krebs cycle, which is also called aerobic respiration. This requires O2 supply. Thank you so much, guys. We will continue from the next topic, fermentation, and I will also explain the process of glycolysis completely. So don't miss out on that. Bye, and subscribe to the channel for latest updates.